Are your First Amendment rights being attacked? Find out on this episode of the Sounds Obtuse Podcast. I'm Chris. With me always is my co-host,
Dylan Carter.
How's it going, man?
Man, it's going great. I'm glad to be back. It is exciting. We're living it up tonight.
There's nothing like hearing that rim shot to start this podcast.
It's just nothing like it.
Nothing
I love a good rim shot.
like it. Nothing replaces that. But we gotta be careful with the jokes we throw out today.
I would also say all the time, but
Probably
sure,
all the time.
sure.
But especially today, because we got a good one for you. Before we get into all that jazz, how you been, man?
Man, I've been great. Last week was really cool, sort of like a birthday week for my girlfriend.
It was?
We had a good time. Several celebrations, lots of hanging out. Went to Virginia Beach. Got to stay at a resort, very nice resort. Got her a spa day, some nice dinner. It was really good.
No scooters?
There are no scooters in Virginia Beach. NIMBY's probably got a hold of them.
Heartbreaking.
NIMBY's probably got a hold of them.
Heartbreaking.
I know. But it's all right. We got around. Still enjoyed it. Very good time. Just sort of been stuff like that. But it's been very good.
That sounds fun. I know we did some singing, some karaoke.
We did, yeah.
You took a spill on a bike.
Oh, I did, yeah. People don't know how to drive cars around bicycles, apparently. So I got ran off the road, and they didn't even stop. Like, just like straight up cut me off for no reason, ran me off the road, and then drove right off.
That thing looks gnarly.
Still got a big old lump. It's great.
It's like 2 weeks now?
Man, it's been like 2 weeks.
Just about, if not.
It doesn't hurt all that bad, but still sucks.
Fuck these cars, right?
Fuck cars.
Cars kind of suck. Anything else you've been up to this week?
Nothing important.
Nothing important. Well, I wish I could say the same. It hasn't been quite that kind of week for me.
Mr. Importance over here.
Yeah. Got lots of stuff going on. I got a bug in my eye yesterday.
Well, that'll wreck your day.
I was riding to work.
Oh, no,
right?
no.
And it's the one time you know me, sunglasses all the time, right?
I mean, you have a pair for every day of the year.
Every occasion.
Yeah.
Didn't wear them this time. And, man, I saw the bug, and we both zagged at the same time. Right in my eye.
It takes me back to my, like, awkward mall days when I'd get, like, locked in a dance-off with some cute girl because I was trying to be gentleman and let her go. But it's like,
and then you start
at some point, you just sit down. Like, you go. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, you just turn 90 degrees. Just, please,
Sashay.
after you. But yeah, that sucked. Bug in the eye to start the day.
Sorry to hear it.
It,
Start the day, too. Like, that's...
Yeah.
What happened, Chris? You wake up on the wrong side of the bed? No. It just took a bug as a projectile to one of my soft orifices.
Fortunately, as you know, we have the emergency eye flush stations.
Did you use it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, did you really?
I went for it.
Oh,
Later on the day, I got a swipe.
How was that? I always see that thing. It kind of looks fun.
It was still really hard because it's like, is he dead under there? Am I killing him? Is he moving around? Did I already blink him dead and his body parts if like disassociated from his body and are swimming around under my eyelid?
Maybe they just like sunk around. Maybe they just like sunk around to the back of your eye.
You never know. I think I got most of them out. I saw a dead, little thing in the corner later on, so I think I got him.
Horrible.
One time, though, this is even potentially gnarlier. I was riding a bike again, swallowed a mosquito type creature, very similar, whatever it was, sneezed him out. Yeah. Went down my mouth, I kind of choked a little bit.
What a ride for that bug.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, wait a minute. What happened? I don't even know.
Yeah. And then you think, like, man, if reincarnation exists, it's a hell of a way to go.
It would be.
It's like, oh, man, I got to get back in there. Hopefully I could be a dog this time.
That seemed better.
Also, been playing some video games this week. As you know, we just played some Switch Sports.
Switch Sports?
What you think about that?
Man, I love the sword stuff.
It's pretty fun.
It's pretty fun. Just whacking each other.
Yeah, it's like we could easily stand here and just like shake a stick at each other. Mm-hmm. Not quite as fun.
No, it's not the same. You don't gotta shake your stick. You can just actually hit each
play
other.
tennis.
Tennis is great.
Tennis is fun.
You can play all those games within the confines of a small square area. So I think that's pretty great.
Yeah, we have to do some bowling at some point. Golf's coming later on.
Looking forward to it.
That'll be fun. Golf.
I like golf.
Yes, that should be fun. I've also been playing another video game, WWE 2K22. Last times, the game sucked so bad, they had to take a whole year off.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So you.
How does that work? Okay, listen, everyone, go home for a year, and we'll see what happened.
So you had from 2K14 all the way to 2K20, no 2K21, because it was so bad. They said we gotta stop, put some extra development in there.
Soul searching.
Came out 2K22. and I was on the fence about it, and I was like, man, I kind of just want a fun fighting game, featuring my favorite characters. And I was like, man, if this game doesn't do well, you know what's going to happen. EA Sports going to swoop in and bastardize that license. Worse than they have Madden.
Probably.
So I can only hope that 2K retains potentially the lesser of two evils. I just don't want to see another fighting game lost to the hands of EA Sports.
Mm-hmm.
Break my heart. I'm still looking forward to come Madden. Was it 23 this year now? Madden 23?
I guess so.
Coming out?
That'll be great. I honestly don't know what it's going to be next. Like, they're at the point with, like, the Madden that you just, like, what is it going to be? What's the next thing?
VR?
They can't get it to work now. VR? No. You're just be, like, stuck up in the stands. You can't play the game. Like,
yeah, the ball's, like, 40 feet away, but it's still in your hand.
Oh, man.
That'd be pretty terrible.
That'd be a cool VR game where you just get to, like, watch football games. And there's different people around and some, like, drunk asshole. That'd be fun.
That would be.
You gotta navigate social interactions. Oh man, what a fun little. I honestly
Drunk
guess
VR.
I guess you could just do that. I guess you could just go to a game. But that sounds horrible. Honestly, that sounds terrible.
Some other news. Hopefully, actually, it would have been terrible news, but good news to report. The was to be canceled Barefoot Red Sangria on tap at our local shop was soon to be on closeout. However, yours truly made us think about it. Said, nah, you can't take it away.
You just Karen'd it up.
I did. I went to the highest in command I possibly could and told them to do the very same. And here before us, still in our possession, Barefoot Red Sangria.
In the box.
I didn't do much else this week.
That sip sounded like a plug. That sip really sounded like a plug.
It might have been. The last thing I'll
It
talk
was too
about.
perfect of a sip.
I'll talk about this week just because it was written down here. You scroll the TikToks, right?
Sometimes.
So there's this one. Have you?
I have a weak moment, I scroll the TikToks.
Yeah, but you've seen some of the lives. I've told you about some of the lives.
Yeah.
Like the egg plucking. So there's these other lives where, I guess it's supposed to be like a ghost room, where like they're in like some hallway. It looks like a school, an apartment building, and like one of the lights off upstairs, and the other one's like flickering. It's just someone like turning it off and on, but it's like supposed to be scary, and like that's it. I sat and watched for like, not proud of this, maybe 5-10 minutes, just like what's gonna happen. What's gonna happen? Like nothing, and it's like, man, we could just stand in our hallway right here and do that same
just
thing.
make the same thing.
Yeah, it's like he's just like the dude's always, there's several of them, of course. It's like guys always like cold, or it could be in a forest near a hayfield or something like that. It's just, I don't recommend watching them. Just save yourself the trouble. You see someone in a scary situation on TikTok Live, just avoid it. Keep hitting next till you find some girl twerking. You'll be more pleased.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also there. It's easy to find. You just keep scrolling.
Yep. All right. So, anything else you want to mention this week?
I think I'm okay. Maybe just start saving saving up your coat hangers.
Okay.
It'd be a good thing to do.
Definitely.
Start saving those up because they are going to be in high demand.
Yeah, go to your thrift stores, clean out the metal ones.
Mm-hmm. Get out the metal coat hangers. We're gonna need them.
In other news?
Please.
In other news.
Give me some good news.
I can't do that.
Oh, God.
Because Texas is sending immigrants to Capitol Hill. Heard about that?
No.
Just dropping them off. Just putting them on buses, shipping them out.
It's pretty on brand for Texas.
Telling Joe Biden to deal with it. His problem now.
Okay.
So
weird flex, but okay. Seems like a problem you made by taking them there, but all right.
Today we're doing that. Heard about those kids who got drunk in kindergarten?
You talking about me?
Not you, unless you were drinking Jose Cuervo mix with 10% alcohol and you handed it out to all your friends.
And all your friends happen to be kindergartners?
Yeah.
Well, for the sake of the pod, I'm going to say it wasn't me.
Nope, not you.
But
well, it happened.
But shout out to Miss Campbell's kindergarten class. Really great crowd. Really great crowd.
It happened.
Love them.
Luckily, no one got too drunk.
Man, Billy, he wilding out over there.
No one got too drunk. It was all fine.
He's fine. He recovered.
This might be old news at this point, but Steam has a spring sale.
Yeah, what's on there?
Steam, they got, and I'm not sure why this is recommended to me, but I saw it. You can get Furry Cyberfucker for 20% off.
Is that a real game?
Real game. You get it off in a bundle.
Well, now I've got to know.
The screenshots look great. It looks fun. Like I said, not sure why they're telling me about this, but if anyone else out there is interested, now's a great time to get it. Look out for the next spring sale.
Have you played it?
I haven't played it, but based off, I don't know why they would do it to me. Next news, we got Virginia police. They can't do their quotas anymore.
Nice. For
traffic stops starting.
That's why I haven't gotten stopped.
July 1st. So you still got some time to get caught by the police. But thank you, Governor Youngkin, for doing that.
I'm not going to go that far.
So basically what I'm thinking is there's going to be lots of tickets before then.
Possibly.
When they can't make those quotas anymore.
Possibly. I don't...
Because until July 1st,
is that a
quotas
Youngkin policy?
That's what he said. He said no more traffic quotas.
I'm going to read the red tape. It's one of those things. It's like, I get it. That's really cool. But because you said it, I'm going to go ahead and do a lot of research.
Yeah, I had some of the... I literally have a bunch of question marks about
I'm going to go ahead and do a lot of research.
Yep.
Because I'm... Like, the police departments are probably getting, like, free tanks.
Yeah.
They're probably getting free tanks in exchange for not doing this.
I like the idea, but what's the catch?
Exactly.
So...
Exactly.
It sounds great. Let's hope for it. Let's hope that it is.
That's right. We are getting rid of traffic quotas and bringing back the chokehold.
Let's hope not.
Lick them boots.
So this is just another headline I thought was fun because we always seem to mention her. You know, Elizabeth Holmes.
Oh, yeah, Liz.
Yeah. So this is from Yahoo.
Talk about Yahoos, am I right?
Talk about outdated. How about that? The headline said, how outdated beauty standards fueled Elizabeth Holmes and I guess Anna Sorkin's scams. That was the headline.
What a headline.
I dove deep, a little deeper into it. They're basically saying a black person couldn't have done it. That pretty much sums up their argument. They said the scammers, quote, looked the part of having like white privilege, that they were too pretty to not be rich, basically. They had that mainstream Eurocentric beauty standard.
I feel
it's great for social capita.
I feel like a dude named Greg wrote that article. And he's just really into like blondes.
She's too pretty.
Elizabeth Holmes, shall I compare thee to a summer's day?
Yeah. Just super trying to like support her, like she's too pretty. She could have done it.
She could have done it. Look at her. Pretty people don't do bad things.
That sultry voice of hers. No way she did. That's right. There's a guy who got sued, or he sued his place of business after he threw a party because he had a heart attack or whatever. And he was like, don't do this to me.
No, I guess you gotta get your money. I mean, however you gotta.
Well, he said, like, don't do this to me. Don't throw me a party. They threw him a party. And then...
Oh. I thought he threw the party and then...
No, it's like, so his work was like, hey, we're gonna throw you a party. He's like, please don't do that. I got anxiety. Don't do that shit. You know, I can relate. I can certainly relate. You know, I say I don't
100%.
I say I don't want a cake. I don't want the cake. You say you don't want a party. You don't want the party, right? So they throw him the party, and then he's like, guys, I don't want the party because he had an actual panic attack. And they're like, oh, stop bitching. And then they fired him. And then he sued.
Welcome to America.
Yep, that's how it goes.
Remember, the boss is always right.
All right, another story real quick. Starbucks in Richmond is the first in the state
to unionize. And
then we have the one in Newport News, which is the first over here in the Tidewater area to unionize. It's the one at Oyster Point, Warwick.
Well, I'm over there all the time, so I'll have to stop by. Get a cup of good union coffee.
They sure did. New body part just dropped.
What?
New body part just dropped.
Your testes?
Not mine. So this is a new cell from the lungs. You want to guess what it does?
Lung shit?
Ooh, you'd be awfully close.
Oh, okay, naturally.
It helps keep the functioning of the respiratory systems intact.
Well, I need some of that.
Yeah, we all do. Well, check this out.
Can I get like a quarter of that?
This particular cell helps recover certain smoking.
Like repair smoking damage?
Yeah.
Yeah, can I get a quarter of that?
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
How much is that?
No, we have it. It's in our bodies.
Oh, well, where's it been the whole time?
We just found it. It's like apparently it's been there.
So it's been the whole time and it's been doing nothing?
Yep.
Oh, it's useless.
Well, now that we know about it, though, now it'll activate. I think that's how that works.
Oh, it's kind of like Santa.
It's like out of sight, out of mind.
If you believe in it, it exists.
Yeah, or hell.
Also kind of like cancel culture.
Potentially.
Okay.
But like, yeah. You don't tell the Inuits about, heaven and hell. You don't go. The Jews been doing. This is a headline from Collider. You're familiar with Collider, the renowned Disney shows?
No.
So this is the headline. I just thought it was really funny. Get this.
I wish they were called Kaleidoscope. I just feel like it'd be even worse.
Get this. You familiar with Spider-Man, the animated series?
Sure.
You know.
Fairly.
The one when we were kids.
I never watched it, but I understand
Fox
what it is.
Kids, Saturday
Yeah,
morning.
I get it.
Spider-Man. They said, now get this. It'll be hard to take in. Spider-Man, the show, inspired Spider-Man the movie.
Wait, what?
Do you want me to repeat it?
I mean,
know it's hard to take
show
in.
your work.
This is from Collider.
That's what I'm saying.
Collider.
I don't believe it.
Well, take it up with them.
I mean, like, where does the story line up at all? Honestly.
Got me. I didn't read the article. I just saw the headline.
I mean, that's all most people do anyway.
Yeah. But I feel like this one, it was like, I couldn't get beyond the
I
headline.
feel like most quote-unquote journalism nowadays is like 95% headline.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
As long as you get that click, they don't really care.
You're not wrong about that. I'll save the, I had some information about a news story, a whole deal about, scientists, and they found this dino anus. We'll save it next time. Save it.
It's not
for
important. Don't
next
worry about
time.
it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, they talked about.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
We'll get there eventually. Did have one more news story kind of popped up just recently, actually. I think it relates to what we're talking about today.
Does it?
I'll segue nicely, I believe.
Ooh, tell me.
So, you familiar with comedian Dave Chappelle?
I am.
Went up on stage.
Oh yeah, he got
said some jokes.
He got smacked or something.
He sure did.
Yeah.
He got
That's happening a lot.
attacked on stage. Did you hear the Chris Rock follow up? He came in, hugged him, and said, "Was that Will Smith?" It's pretty funny.
Did he really?
Oh yeah.
Chris Rock was there.
Mhm.
He just.
Yeah, fellow comedian. Yeah, they're just it's a festival.
It sounds like a setup. I feel like they probably did that just for like a TikTok.
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't want to.
Maybe.
Dave Chappelle's way smarter than all of us. Now I'm not giving credit to the things that he said. I'm just saying on an intelligence level. Dave Chappelle is a very intelligent man. So I would not put it past him to have this be some sort of elaborate ploy.
I think we even talked about the original slap being an elaborate ploy. Did we not?
You did. I don't believe necessarily that. Maybe I did too. I was probably drunk.
It's possible.
I don't believe that was the case, but I could understand it to some degree. But
Can't
like,
roll it out. You got to ride that success.
if they said like Dave Chappelle paid someone to come up and smack him, and Chris Rock could be there and make a whole little bit about it, I would believe it. No, and I wouldn't even be that mad. I'd be like, I mean, of course he did.
That's funny.
That
'cause
sounds like a skit.
Usually I'm the cynical one.
I mean,
I think we'll get there at some point today, though.
to quote Dylan, the times are changing.
With all that news out the way, we mentioned Dave Chappelle because he's familiar with
Cancel culture.
cancel culture.
That's right.
Yes.
Cancel culture, quote unquote.
Will Smith's currently being canceled. Is that the case?
I-
We'll discuss it. We'll
We'll
discuss
what all that
We'll
means.
discuss this.
But
Yes.
first,
we gotta take an ad break to get this Skrilla.
we'll be right back.
This segment of Sounds Obtuse Podcast is provided by the following.
New York Shop Cheddar Cheese. Hey, how you doing? It's me, Tony the Cow, here to talk to you about a new product. We got it here. We got this New York Shop Cheddar Cheese. Got it in white, got it in yellow. Don't worry about it. Basically the same thing. It's the perfect addition to any dish. What, you got your beef bolognese? I'm not a big fan of that personally, but you put some NYC cheddar on it, I might just think about it. Maybe you got your eggplant parm. Boom. Now it's eggplant New York cheddar, and that's way better. Or maybe you got your mother's gabagool. Put a little, I'm just joking here. You mess with that recipe, you're going to be sleeping with the fishes. I kid ma, it's fantastic the way it is. Look, forget about your pastoral settings with your fancy Irish accents talking about grass-fed cows. I hate to break it to you. That's not the real world. We cows here drink 100% New York City tap water. Got all kinds of antibodies in that cheese. Moms, you know how they say let your kids eat dirt? Good for the immune system. What do you think this cheese does? Huh? Boom. It's like a multivitamin. The kiddos are going to love it. So tell that fancy Irish cheddar to move over, huh? See, look, it's a cow joke. I'm full of them. But seriously, maybe cool it with the Irish, huh? We got enough of them already. Ho! I'm just saying. Why do they get a parade, Maybe a little love for the USA here. What's more USA than NYC? Get your NYC shop cheddar cheese wherever cheeses are sold, and tell them Tony the Cow sent you.
I love their melted, like they make homemade Cheez-Its there. Like, you just chop up some of that cheddar, like a little square, throw it on the skillet.
Do they?
Let it cook, and they sell them like that.
I haven't had too much of it. I am actually a fan of the Kerrygold. I feel like they were referring to there possibly.
Great over salad.
Great over salad?
Mm-hmm. A little crunchy, a little chewy in the middle still. They really know how to make them there.
Nutty?
Some of them are.
A little nutty?
Depends how much wax comes on the ends, you know.
It's probably some of that New York tap water.
It might be.
Could be.
Lots of minerals though. Like I said, skip the vitamin at 7-Eleven in the morning with your coffee.
Just eat the cheese.
Get a slice of that cheese. Pair it with some grapes, maybe some nuts, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Make a little afternoon snack about it.
It's like a multivitamin. So they say. I mean,
it's the only one I give my family.
The only cheese for your family.
The only cheese.
New York sharp cheddar cheese is the only one. It's the only cheese.
I don't have a Reuben with Swiss. I have a Reuben with New York sharp cheddar.
Wow.
White or yellow, doesn't matter.
From a Philly guy.
Yeah.
Too.
I know.
From a Philly guy. You wouldn't even think about it.
When I have my steak, my cheese steak, I don't use Cheese Whiz. I use New York sharp cheddar.
It's almost blasphemy, I feel like.
Almost.
But hey, more power to you. I'm just saying.
You know.
Unless your ma, she makes gabagool.
She does.
You put it on there?
You don't have to.
Because it's your mom's gabagool.
Because it's so good.
I mean, come on,
if it was your mom's gabagool, cheese is going on there.
Oh, this guy, I love it.
Thank you,
New York sharp cheddar cheese,
for supporting the podcast. And we're back. Dylan, why don't you tell the 5 folks listening to this podcast today what we're going to be discussing?
We're going to be talking about something that I felt very passionate about bringing up, and that is cancel culture.
Or sometimes known as call-out culture.
Yes, sometimes called call-out culture. Yeah, so I just want to kind of, I don't know, it's just something that like has been very prevalent in the past probably, I don't know, what'd you say, like maybe?
At least 5 to 7 years.
You really think that long?
At least 2015.
Yeah, that's what I would say too.
So about 7.
Oh, God, that's forever ago.
But like especially like 2018, 2020 perhaps, when people were just bored during COVID and they're trying to...
Find reasons to get mad. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think that was part of it.
Yeah.
I actually came in with a bit of a bat to swing. I personally don't believe that cancel culture really exists.
I think it's a myth.
Kind of alluded to that earlier. I think it exists in some form, but not nearly in the form we think it does. But we'll get into that. I think we're going to have a nice little discussion about that.
So, definition?
Yeah, to kick things off, get us all on the same page here. What are you and who are you quoting here?
This is Wikipedia, the finest news source.
Perfect.
So, cancel culture, or as I mentioned earlier, call-out culture, is a contemporary phrase used to refer to a form of ostracism, there's those isms, in which someone's thrust out of social or professional circles, online, social media, or in person.
Yeah.
So shunned.
Shamed, shunned, however you want to. Yeah. That honestly makes my point for me in some ways. So yeah, how do we even dive in? Is there anything you want to say at the outset?
So, I think the big thing with cancel culture, this idea of like attacking someone or something, could be a brand, but usually it's like a brand for being associated with a person a lot of the times. And I gotta say, while I'm not particularly against, like, you know, if you want to not eat Goya beans because Donald Trump shook the guy's hand, you know, that's on you. If you don't necessarily care about that, like I think a lot of most people do, they don't care. You just continue eating those Goya beans because it's what you know, it's what you love. Are you gonna let your taste in food override some sort of connection to someone you don't really care for? You know?
I get that.
But yeah, I think a lot of people don't care, and I think to summarize, it's always the vocal minority.
Yep.
Which isn't always, you know, the majority, as we just said.
I think people always talk about being attacked by a mob is a term I think you hear thrown around a lot. The mob, the online mob, however you want to say it. And they act like that's something new. Like the mob, the group of people with opinions, is something new.
It's just so much more accessible nowadays.
It is. It's amplified by social media, but it's amplified. Nothing's changed in the demeanor, in the way people have thought and voiced their opinions, but now it's more accessible. You can hear a lot more people's opinions just by scrolling Facebook or Twitter or anything. Scroll through a single comment section and you'll hate the world because everybody's opinion is on there. And you used to not have to know how stupid most of the people were. Sadly, those days of innocence are gone, and we're forced to see everyone's opinion. And some people just can't handle seeing an opinion that they disagree with.
It sucks.
But getting to
it all sucks.
But getting to the root of cancel culture, quote unquote, It's very interesting to me because I always hear it talked about, and you alluded to this when you brought us into the episode, that it's an attack on free speech. Cancel culture is this thing that the left does to attack free speech, right? That's kind of how it's presented. What I don't understand about that is that the entire thing that is happening on the cancel culture side is simply the exercise of free speech. It's simply people coming together and say, hey, we don't like this. Maybe it's a brand doing something, or maybe someone saying something like, hey, we don't like this. If you want us to continue using your product, you're going to have to change those ideas, change what you're saying. Otherwise, we're not going to use it. It's people exercising their free speech, either physically by speaking or theoretically by not buying a product or a service or listening to someone's music or reading someone's book.
And what gets me is that, like, you know, maybe it is like they connect with someone like maybe you don't like them, and they're like, oh, they got a brand deal with Nike now. Guess it's time to stop using Nike, you know, as if that's where you draw the line, you know, that this, you know, R&B singer or this athlete who, you know, maybe punched his wife or said the N-word and he's a white guy. Now that Nike's with them, it's like, which sure. But like
that's your prerogative if you wish. If like that's perfectly fine. But on the other side, as a brand, if you are a owner of a brand, and being like a musician is a brand, you yourself are a brand.
If you have like a social media handle, you're pretty much a brand.
Yes, exactly. You are absolutely right. If you put yourself on a public space, you have a brand to uphold. We have a brand. And Chris will tell you, I am constantly fighting a war backstage here to keep us in the good here. Chris knows. You gotta rate him in sometimes.
Which kind of is a big point I kind of wanted to make, as you probably would have guessed, that while real or not, it's cancel culture. Again, it's kind of like if you think it's there, then you know you might have this issue. But I think just like the mere threat, like just having it out there, could dissuade someone from saying something.
I agree with what you're saying,
and I think that slippery slope is the scariest part of this, not the cancel culture itself.
I think if you just remove the term cancel culture from the discussion and you just turn it into, I said something that was off color and I got backlash from it. If you just call it, if you just say that, which is a convoluted way of saying it, but if you just say that, it's the same thing.
As LeVar Burton said, consequences culture.
Yes. And on that point, I see it used as both weapon and shield, especially if you watch like conservative media. It is wielded as both shield and cudgel. Because as a cudgel, they use it to say, this is what the left is doing. The left is coming to attack your free speech. You aren't allowed to say this. You aren't allowed to say that. The left is coming for your free speech. Let's be clear about something. You can say whatever you want. Nobody can stop you. Nobody can stop you from saying anything. There can, however, be repercussions for the things that you say. There always have been repercussions for the things people say. And you're just going to have to live with that if you plan to live in this world. People are going to react to the things you say, especially in this day and age where you can project what you want to say to millions of people at a time. Yeah, if you say offensive stuff to 1 million people, you may very well find a lot of people who don't like what you say, and you should be prepared for that. And if you're a brand and you do something that's controversial, then you should be prepared to face backlash from it from the people who buy your product.
Those are definitely some big buzzwords. Backlash.
Yeah.
I think another one, you also have what I think is a huge part of this, clickbait and outrage.
Yeah, like outrage culture.
You have this huge vortex of like the dark triad, if you will.
Good callback.
Of like outrage, backlash, clickbait. Just this nasty vortex of how things go. You have this want to get people's interest. How do you do it? Clickbait. What do people love? Outrage. What does that lead to? Well, let me tell you, lies travel around the world in an instant, whereas the truth is much slower.
It is.
So you get these headlines, you get everyone riled up thinking like, oh, we need to cancel blah, blah, blah. You know, we can't just jump on everything and just take it as is. And I think you could even say the misinformation of certain media forms, whatever you're intaking, highlight those negative things, those things that make people want to lynch somebody, you know? Because that's kind of what it is. It's like they can't actually hang you, but they can take away your ability to, you know, live.
But who takes it away?
Well, I'm not saying anybody does, but I'm saying I think the potential thought is like the scariest thing about, and even in alleged cancel culture. Kind of like I mentioned, it's like karma, you know?
Yeah, it exists if you.
It is
exists.
It's a concept that exists if you believe it exists.
I did want to say, so I said that cancel culture is like a cudgel they use to beat and say this is a thing that people are doing to us, but it's also wielded as a shield. So whenever you see people like Morgan Wallen, the country singer who said the N-word for some ridiculous freaking reason, and then complained about the fact that people got mad at him saying the N-word, and then saying that it's cancel culture that provided that backlash. Like, what do you know? You said something you shouldn't have online and got in trouble for it. That's your own fault. The government didn't come knocking on your door and take you to jail because you said it. You got in trouble from people. You lost your record label because people were upset and your record label realized you were a liability. You caused that. Who quote unquote canceled Morgan Wallen? His record company, a private company, canceled him. No one else did.
All right, so the thing is, I guess, like, say you take someone like Kevin Hart, right?
Okay.
Who was gonna host the Academy Awards, and then you go back to a tweet from like mid to late 2000s when sure, some jokes were, I guess, more acceptable, but is that, like, I don't have this exact quote in front of me, unfortunately, but are certain jokes a reason to, like, because he had to step down. You take certain people, they'll do certain things. They'll kind of push them away for a little bit and then bring them back once they kind of cool off. I mean, Hulk Hogan's back in good graces. He said some pretty heinous things. So especially in that regard, like, it doesn't quite exist. But the fact that, like, I think you may have, a situation where you want to kind of smear someone's name. I mean, to get really cynical about it, you might have, and this is like borderline conspiratorial now, but you might have like you have like a motion picture company, right? Maybe they're like about to make a movie, and this other motion picture company is going to do a very similar movie, but their star actor is a lot bigger. So maybe you hire a research team to look back at some of their old social media posts from, who knows, 15 years ago, and you say, oh, they said this, and then bam, their name is smeared, their movie tanks. I think there could be some of that. Just the potential in people's minds,
I don't know if that specifically
that's
happens,
like an extreme example.
But that sort of thing happens. And has always happened.
Yeah.
It's not anything new. It's not cancel culture. It's not some new thing that popped up overnight.
It's
in
the fact that it's everywhere
everybody
now.
Woke up and started being mad. No. People gradually realized different ways to use this stuff. Sure, social media first and foremost. But the outrage has always been there. Roman senators would always give their speeches to crowds, and those crowds would either turn friendly and support them, and they would know that they had a good plan on their side, or that crowd would turn into a quote-unquote mob, and they would know, hey, this is probably a bad idea. That's how they understood that as a simple way of life. That's how you dealt with things. That's how individual people exercised power en masse, was by joining together their voices. It has happened since the beginning of humans having opinions.
It definitely does.
And the ability to form them.
I think it's even just saying, like, new ideas can be hard because you don't know how people are going to take them. And then you start discussing things like new values, new morals even. It gets even more ticky-tacky. And then if you have, others kind of, to use that word again, like conspiring in a group to change a particular culture, that may or may not be what the people actually want. I think that is like the real problem here, the real issue associated with cancel culture.
I just see things applied to it that aren't real.
Well, it's like that. It's that real threat applied to the microphone that is cancel culture.
I guess
you know
so.
What I'm saying?
I mean, I do see what you're saying.
Because like I said, even just like having a culture like that, or saying there is a culture, some people are going to believe it. Some people are going to question the way they speak, which means they'll question the way they think, which means they'll question the way their potential future could turn out. And then you have actual culture built on a fake culture. You know what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. I argue this.
You talk like generations of like conditioning, basically.
I say that cancel culture is a myth because it's used very lopsidedly and very haphazardly.
You can say the same thing about religion.
Well, I mean, you can say the same thing about a lot of things. But my point being this, the right tends to use cancel culture to berate the left whenever they have an opinion about something that they agree with.
Sounds a lot like religion.
Possibly. I want to take you all back, if you'll indulge me for a moment, to a simpler time. A time before cancel culture, when people weren't riled up by opinions that popped up overnight. They didn't get wrapped up in the furious throes of mobs, and people behaved with civility. A simpler time in 2001, when the Dixie Chicks, now known as the Chicks, said at a concert in England, "We are ashamed the president is from Texas." And then the people of Texas and of this country in general decided to hire steamrollers to crush copies of their album. A simpler time, before cancel culture was even a word that was made, or a phrase that was made up. But that's not cancel culture, right? Because it's not someone from the left complaining about something on the right. So that's not cancel culture. That's just conservatives having an opinion. But if it was the other way around, it would be cancel culture. And that's what I don't believe in. I think that it's just a myth because they just make it up whenever they need it to be real and disregard it whenever it's inconvenient.
All right, how much money are we going to lose here? That's the question.
Usually, yeah. I mean, if you're a brand, that's the question you're asking. But also, how much money can you make? Because people bounce off of these things all the time, and that's sort of another nail in the coffin of it being a myth. Like Louis C.K. I saw an article that really brought this whole thing about for me. Now, Louis' quote unquote cancel culture story is interesting. It's one of the different stories. My point being this: people say that Louis was canceled after it was found out that he would pull out his dick and masturbate at parties.
I do it all the time. No one's canceled me yet.
I mean, we all fucking love it. We all love it. We all know whenever we see Chris, like, hey, tonight's going to be a good time. But Louis, it didn't go over that way. Some people had a problem with it, and he got in trouble, and he got quote-unquote canceled. Now, while he was canceled, he was selling out shows. He was doing podcasts. He was doing interviews. He was selling tickets. He was selling media. Where was he canceled? What about him was canceled?
Yeah, he did take some time off, as you know.
He took a brief period of time off,
but then went back on the road,
and then came back, and people still went and saw his shows. What about him was canceled?
What I don't like about it, like I said, he's still gonna make a living, right? He's one of the fortunate ones. But you do have this. It's like a fake culture of not so much like the people's opinion, but of things like the corporations, right? Where again, it's kind of like that domino effect where they won't even take a chance on a potentially risque, you could even say potentially groundbreaking individual. And then eventually, like I said, over time, because of their choices, things get homogenized and safer. I want to say this is what The Giver is about. Could be wrong.
I have to read into that.
You could be wrong, because the more I think about it, the more I read about it as I'm older, I'm like, okay, I can kind of see. Like, things just get so gray and dull and drab because everyone wants to be all safe and sweet and shit that we can't handle things, or they say we can't handle things, and we end up actually not being able to handle things. I think we just kind of need to, like, I don't know, if someone says some fucked up shit, we don't necessarily have to cancel them.
What does that mean? Who is canceling them?
Well, that's what I mean. Like, we don't have to, like, just disregard these people.
There is no ministry of cancellation.
I'll say this.
Who is racking the fucking gavel?
Food Network isn't hiring Paula Deen anymore. You know what I mean? Sure, she has a restaurant. She runs it with her boys. But, like, you're not going to see on the cover of Southern Living anymore. Sure, she said some fucked up shit. I'm not saying she's right or wrong in the situation. But, quite literally, one word cost her who knows how much money.
Boo-hoo.
I agree. Boo-hoo.
She shouldn't have freaking said it.
Boo-hoo.
She has a brand. She's a representative of that brand. She made a very dumb decision, and it affected that brand. Freedom of speech does not mean freedom from consequences. It doesn't mean that. It never has, and it never will. And if that's what you want, I have bad news for you. You will never be without consequences for the things that you say. You're never going to get back to that point.
But I don't want anybody to be afraid to say something different either, though.
They shouldn't be afraid to say something different. They should be afraid to say something offensive. Don't try to offend people, and you won't have a problem.
If you scare people into saying something offensive, right? Because you can even say that, like, this kind of bleeds into things like, I think, art, you know, at a time, like stand-up comedy. Comedians getting punched on stage for saying jokes, man.
And again, like, being offensive is subjective.
It is. That's the hardest part.
It's in the eye of the beholder. You can't please everyone. You're never going to.
Yeah.
But for instance, J.K. Rowling, who has to, on some level, be aware that her books helped inspire a generations of misfits who believed they were different, they were outcast, and her books inspired those people to be themselves, at least contributed to them being their fuller self. And then for her to come out and say transphobic bullshit, if she wasn't that kind of author, she wouldn't get the kind of backlash that she got. If she was writing books about why trans people shouldn't exist, people wouldn't have blinked an eye. But you have an audience who believed in these books because it made them feel accepted. And to then hear from the person who wrote them, a good portion of her fans who were probably transgender heard that, or support transgender people, heard that, and felt betrayed by the person of this brand.
These marginalized groups.
That's her fault. She should have read better who her fans are. And she made a choice to say what she said. She lost some fans. She also has a whole bunch of new fans now with a whole bunch of new ideas. So, I mean, is she canceled? I'm pretty sure she's still making books and movies.
Oh, yeah.
Is she canceled?
She's making money.
If you watch Fox News, J.K. Rowling is canceled. She looks to be doing just as good as she's ever done. And that's my point. There is no cancel culture. People still have repercussions, and nothing ever happens after that.
So I guess the thing is, like, she did do some good, and she, said some shit that some people would not agree with. Whether she's right or wrong, I don't think that's a reason to hate somebody. I think you can still give them the chance to make themselves better. I don't know, I'm just not for bringing anybody down.
There's always that chance.
Yeah.
There's always the chance to have redemption. I mean, a great example that's near and dear to me, Governor Northam. How did he survive a scandal where he was either a guy in blackface or a guy in a KKK outfit? You spend your lifetime after that passing laws to help African Americans so that when they see that picture, they go, all right, that's a fucked up picture. But you know what? You've also raised my living standard. Maybe you've grown.
Yeah.
That's how you survive. And people are like, oh, well, he just survived because he's a fucking Democrat. No, you're missing the point. It's bigger than that. You can have redemption, but it takes a lot of work. And a career in politics trying to help marginalized communities gives you just a little bit of leeway to say, I was wrong. And he apologized, said he was wrong, came out and admitted it, and then pointed to his record, said, I'm going to continue to grow, but this is a record. I've tried to move on from there even before this was known about. And people understood that, and they believed it. And that's how you can get away with it.
Do you think he was pandering?
I personally don't believe so. Maybe he was. Maybe if he was awfully good at it. Because he seemed pretty damn sincere when I was watching the whole thing. Because I was very upset. But again, you look at the guy's record and how he has literally meticulously throughout his career in politics tried to help marginalized communities, especially the African American communities of this era. Before anybody knew about this picture, he was already doing that. He didn't suddenly become the guy who was all about African Americans after the picture came out. No, he could point to his record for a career and say, look at what I did.
And that's kind of what I hope to do. I hope that like 10, 20 years down the line, like I can almost assure me and you both probably have said some things that at that time, like in the future, could potentially be problematic. Mm-hmm. Who knows? Who's to say? But I hope that everything else that I do say can kind of balance, some things that I might say that sound unsavory, but know that they're coming from the heart, and I don't want to lose the want to speak my mind. And like I said, I always mean from the best. This is my plea if this potentially goes downhill. You might want to say one too.
Gulp.
But at least I mean well, and I hope others do. And you hate to see it happen. You hate to hear about it. You hate to hear the outrage of all these negative stories. And I think there is, like I said, that big Venn diagram of just outrage culture probably overshadowing, quote, cancel culture. And it's all about clickbait headlines and money and stuff.
I still struggle to see it that same way, though. You say it's sad to see when, like, a good comedian is struck down by the mob because of something that they said.
I hate to see anything in the news about outrage, about someone doing something outrageous in the news, trying to get someone, quote, canceled.
But you want to know what, like, really makes me sad? It's when an idol of mine, a comedian who I grew up watching and idolized, I mean, followed their entire career, was so sad when they disappeared off the face of the earth, so happy when they come back.
Bill Cosby.
Only to hear them spout transphobic fucking nonsense. I'm talking about Dave Chappelle. An absolute idol of mine. And I still appreciate a lot of Chappelle's comedy. I freely admit, I had Chappelle show on the other night. I love Chappelle. I can watch his new stand-up shows, and they are great, with minor exceptions. There's obviously things I don't agree with.
Did you not like the Beyond Pussy joke?
I don't necessarily remember that specifically to get into it, but I'm just saying some of his stand-up is still just golden. It's just beautiful, but I don't agree with that specific piece of his belief system. That makes me sad. And it makes me sad to see him say that kind of stuff and get the backlash because he said it. And that's what's frustrating to me. So that's how I see it, is I see someone making a mistake and have that thought. Have that thought all you want. But if you're going to make it your brand, just understand you're going to get back. And he's not canceled. He is doing fine.
Yeah, he's fine. He's getting tackled on stage, but he's fine. But
to the media, he's canceled. To the right-wing media especially, he's canceled.
And this is where it gets tricky when you talk about art, because stand-up comedy is an art. Yeah. And I think as an artist, you do things that you may not necessarily agree with to push a certain agenda, whether consciously or subconsciously. You know what I mean? I think any artist kind of does that. You have to break your own rules sometimes, much like fellow podcaster Alex Jones. I consider this podcast somewhat of an art because, while I am giving some opinions that I formulated in my head, I'm also giving a lot of ideas that I might not necessarily agree with that I think we could at least talk about and analyze. You know what I mean? And whether I come to those conclusions and agree with them is a totally different story. So I think, especially in a comedic standpoint, you can really propose ideas that you have no intention of agreeing on. How many jokes have you heard about someone getting punched or whatever, and that person didn't actually punch that individual, but it's just a joke. So I think joking is like the one sacred ground you have left, and unless people start running up on stage and punching our comedians.
But what does sacred mean? Like you can just say whatever you want? You can just get up on stage and just shout the most racist obscenities you want? This is an actual... And expect zero repercussions.
This is a quote from Dave Chappelle. He said he'll be backstage with some of the comedians, and some people can say some of that racist shit, and some of it's really funny, and some of it's obviously not meant from the heart. But then he'll watch some other comedians and be like, that motherfucker meant that shit. But you go backstage, you appreciate the other parts of that individual. And some other shit he said, I don't know. I want to quote the man. But you get the idea. I think as a comedian, especially, yes, you can say, this is not Chris speaking, this is Chris acting as a comedian speaking. If you want to say on stage as a comedian, Hitler was right, like, it might be a shitty joke. Some people might laugh, but I think you could still say it. I wouldn't make it your shtick.
That's very interesting.
Are you going to stop people from painting certain pictures, from drawing, from writing certain things? What's next?
Well, no one's stopping them though. But they're welcome to make it.
But if you give
make whatever
even the
you want,
potential
say whatever
threat,
you want, that threat will never not be there.
Like I said, it's a tough call because regardless, people are going to like you or hate you, and however you're living will reflect that ultimately.
Charles II of England commissioned a painter to go over and paint the woman he was supposed to be marrying.
Pending corporate overlords, of course.
A Portuguese princess, I believe. And had them go over there and paint her. Brought the painting back. Showed the painting. He's like, man, this girl looking fine. Call her on up. I want to meet her. I want to marry her. She arrives, and he realizes that, the painting didn't really do it justice, and she wasn't that pretty to him. And then he killed the painter.
As he should.
I would expect nothing less from you. I would expect nothing less. But that's not happening, is my point. It's like there's no one from the top down who's like, okay, I painted this really obscene piece of art. There's no ministry that's coming down to you and going to say, hey, get in the paddy wagon. We're taking you downtown. You aren't allowed to do this.
I understand. Even on things like Facebook or Twitter, it's like you agreed to the terms of service. Sorry, you could do that. It's fine.
I'm sort of joking with the Charles II joke, but it's the same. There was always, no matter what you were doing, what you were saying, you had the ability of offending someone, of having repercussions for the things that you say. And just because you have some trendy name for it now, like cancel culture, doesn't make it a different thing that's happening. And wielding that and saying, no, this is something that the left is doing, and we are going to use it as a shield to say whatever we want. If we want to say the N-word on our podcast, we can say it, and they can't stop us because we have free speech, and this is cancel culture. That's what it's being used as.
If I had to put my chips on one square on that roulette wheel, it's about money.
It is.
It's always about money.
It's capitalism.
Talk about Dr. Seuss. Here's the real thing. You mentioned about banning Dr. Seuss books. What's everybody gonna do?
I'll buy them.
Start buying some Dr. Seuss books. Any publicity is great publicity. So that's what I think personally. Regardless, people will tell you there's a cancel culture just so you can get outraged about somebody, and it might be like, uh-oh, their book or their movie is coming off Netflix. Watch it before it ends, because no one likes Kevin Costner or whatever, whoever the fuck it is this week.
And like anytime, like
where they tell you,
you have in like the NFL, you had Tim Tebow, and I forget the player. There was an African American player who was a Muslim. They would both pray after a touchdown. Tim Tebow would take the Tebow pose. Christian conservatives loved that. They thought, oh, he's our guy. He's out there representing our values. And then you got a lot of people who are maybe on the other side of the political spectrum kind of saying, I don't like that, yada, yada. He shouldn't be doing that. He should be keeping it secular. And then you got the Muslim player who goes out there, he does his prayer, and you got the exact opposite happening. Neither of those things is cancel culture. It's people having an opinion about something in front of them. That will always happen. It has always happened. And that's my point. That's my closing point of why it is a myth. Because it only exists when someone needs it to. When you need to complain or create a boogeyman or make people feel afraid of something, you say, oh, this is cancel culture. But when it's banning a book that mentions the Holocaust because for some stupid reason you don't want your kid to read about the Holocaust, it's not cancel culture. That's not cancel culture. That's just conservatives having an opinion. But when it's the other way, it's cancel culture.
It's always interesting.
There's a neat little word for it.
Because you have this political spin on things mostly, whereas I see it like from a different aspect. It's like I said, a cultural kind of like eventually like a zeitgeist kind of thing, whereas you see it definitely more of on the political spectrum. But again, I gotta kind of reiterate, I think it's all just about publicity, getting some money out there, a way to bring in the clicks ultimately. It's just another tool in the book.
Could be
to strum up some money.
Well, one of us is right. I'm sure. Maybe both of us are right.
I think we're both right.
Probably are both right.
Anything else you want to say about this?
So much I want to say about this, but I think I've said all we need to say.
I actually want to say one last thing. I think kind of going with the outrage stuff, because we got the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial. They tried to cancel his ass, but from what I'm hearing, he's fighting a lot of these allegations. Good for him, former Tim Burton actor. I don't think Tim Burton would drop him. That'd be horrible.
I don't think so.
Nah, that's his boy.
That is his boy. I mean, it really is. If there was like a pair, I mean,
Laverne and Shirley,
Grant and Sherman,
Penn and Teller, Kenan and Kel,
you got him.
Tim Burton, Johnny Depp.
Absolutely.
Right. So I think a lot of this, especially because of the era, you had a lot of like some of the Me Too bleed over into the cancel culture, which definitely another podcast. 100%. I'm sure. 100%.
Don't just throw Me Too at the very end. That is a whole thing.
So look forward to Me Too at some point. But yes, any last closing remarks here before we go to our next ad break?
I think the easiest way to avoid being canceled is just to put a whole lot of thought into what you say and understand you're not going to be able to please everybody.
That's a lot. That's a hard thing to do. A lot of people don't have that kind of power.
It's not to most. It's really not. It's not. And
that vocal minority has a huge problem with it.
If you're like Chris and have a hard time putting thought into
don't
what you
cancel
say,
me.
then find yourself a Dylan who can help you.
Or you can use Problematic Schmalmatic.
Problematic Schmalmatic.
Sponsor the pod. Not today, though. Find out who sponsors the second half of this episode
right now.
Today's ad is brought to you by
Marty's Toe Rings. Here at Marty's Toe Rings, we have the things that your toes desire. Be it skull rings or doorknobs, diamond encrusted and everywhere in between. We don't just sell toe rings, we sell all sorts of rings too. Finger rings, arm, nose, neck and ear. If there's a part on your body in need of a ring or otherwise, then come on down to Marty's Toe Rings in the corner of Locust Shopping Center in Haines County for a free installation of any ring. mention this podcast for a free mystery gift upon arrival. Thank you, Marty's Toe Rings, for supporting the podcast. You ever get a ring? You ever wear any rings?
I didn't get one, but my friend Casey, she went up there and got one, and she said she got the mystery gift.
Ooh.
Hasn't been able to walk right since. I don't know what that means.
No? She might have mentioned the wrong podcast
like
then.
a weird thing. Maybe.
Because there's, like I said, they much like, Harry's or whatever, they hit the podcast circuit. We're the latest sponsors. They see greatness and they know it. They hopped on us. They said, we got to get on the Sounds Obtuse podcast.
Smart guys over there.
So you go down
Marty.
to the Locust Shopping Center in the corner of Hames County. Free installation
Which corner? I'm assuming there's only 4.
The
in,
Locust,
Hames
the
County.
Locust Shopping Center corner. It's one corner. It's
okay.
one corner.
Okay.
So it's the corner.
You don't have like a directional
It's
the northeastern quadrant.
It's next to the Chinese place.
Wait, okay.
Yeah.
There's,
so you see
there's
the
also
Chinese,
only one.
You see number 1 Chinese. You see Locust County, Hames County, Marty's Toe Rings.
Perfect.
Mention our podcast, get a free
miss it.
mystery gift.
You can't miss it.
Thanks, Marty's Toe Rings. Looking forward to wearing my skull ring on my pinky toe for the 4th of July.
I got a weird advertisement about a kidney ring. I don't know who that's for. I don't really, but I mean, apparently they'll put a ring on anything over.
Hey,
parties.
talk to him.
Power to them.
Mention the pod.
Power to them.
That's just for the episode.
They do lap bands. And we're back. We are playing a fun little game here. We're gonna tempt some fate, gonna choose some directions, and play.
Would you rather?
It's gonna be fun. Let's see what happens.
We asked some fun questions on this show.
We always asking questions.
Oh yeah.
As Tucker Carlson says, I'm just asking questions.
Just asking questions. So Dylan, I got a great would you rather question.
Okay, please.
This is a fantastic one.
Please.
I've had some time to think about it. Hopefully you've had some time to think about it. This is the question. Would you rather pee and poop out your pee hole or pee and poop out your booty hole?
What the fuck kind of question is that? The second one. The second one.
You'd rather pee and poop out your booty hole?
Yes.
Really?
No. Explain yourself as to why.
I will. I would like to hear you explain yourself first.
Okay. It wouldn't hurt nearly as bad. I have kidney stones.
Okay.
I can imagine that being a whole lot fucking worse.
Never had them. Don't know what that's like.
Yeah. So just imagine the worst thing ever, and then it's like way worse than that.
So you'd rather poop out your kidney stones is what you're saying?
Oh my god. Can we do that?
I'd rather not.
Oh
I'd rather
my
just not have
God.
kidney stones, but if we're gonna have them.
The future just got brighter for me if we can poop out kidney stones.
So, as you might have guessed, I'm gonna say I'm gonna poop and pee out my pee hole. Let me tell you why.
You just want the thrill?
Let me tell you why. A little bit. I did write that down. So here's why I would do this, right?
Okay.
First, you're thinking, like, what are you going to do? You're going to, like, shit out your dick? Yeah, I'm going to shit out my dick. Is it going to look like a 3D modeling pen? Maybe. But I have better plans. I'm going to go to an all-liquid diet. So then, right? Oh, I got to take a shit. Oh, urinal's blocked up? No worries. I'm standing up. I'm peeing. It's fine. How you do it? You could poop on the side of the road out a window, in a bottle. You gotta take that shit, like all the urinals are full. You gotta go in a bottle, emergency case,
You come up with some stuff, man. That's all I can say.
So you're pooping out your pee.
Yes.
I'm peeing out my poop.
One of us is gonna be a lot more sore than the other. That's all I can say. You're gonna hold your dick more than Michael Jackson's. All I'm saying.
Well, wow. I'm surprised we didn't agree on that one. The first would you rather of the day.
So I guess the first one for me would be as a man, would you rather accidentally lose control of your bowels during a prostate exam, or this is important, or get an erection during a hernia check?
Well, I've already done the second one.
Have you really? That seems like a story just waiting to be told.
My dick was herniated, so they were just, grabbing all over it. Popped a boner.
I feel like at this point I'm gonna go ahead and decide you're making it
So
up.
what's the question? All right. Well, here's the thing.
Oh, you just want to share that?
Okay. So
that one was just for the viewers.
playing off the last answer, if at this point in my life I am pooping out of my dick, then yeah, no problem. I got my butt bent over, his fingers up there. I'm just peeing wherever I gotta pee. You know, I'm not shitting on his hand.
You lose your bowels. You're not peeing.
Yeah, well, if this is off the last answer,
Okay.
if I'm pooping out my dick, I got no problem. I'm not gonna poop on his hand.
Okay. Fair enough.
So, yeah.
Fair enough. You know what? I don't really
I'm
know that if I see the wisdom in it, but I'm gonna go ahead and say
I'm getting
play ball.
healthy. I'm getting healthy. Oh, sorry, Doc. I gotta poop. Just give me a cup. I'll poop into this cup because it's coming out my dick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Did you have another one?
How is getting a hard on while you're herniated how is that humiliating?
It's a hernia check.
Yeah.
So a doctor comes in and grabs your testicles. I'm assuming you've had a hernia check.
Oh, what? That's what they call that, a hernia check?
Yes.
I thought a hernia check was like when you like pull, like you have like a hole like in your muscle because you like swung a golf club too
No,
hard.
that's a hernia.
Yeah.
It's not a hernia check.
What?
A hernia check is a thing they do just to check and see if you
Oh.
have a hernia, which, according to what you just said, you need to go get checked.
Okay, no.
go get that shit checked
I
out,
am
Chris.
wrong. I think no. I'm not pooping anywhere. I'll take the boner hernia. Anyone grabs my balls, I'm popping boner.
Just for
What
the
do you do?
thrill.
Yeah.
Do you tell them first? Like, listen,
Hey,
sir, I just want to let you know, as soon as you go fishing around.
I was gonna shit on your finger when you had it up my ass. However, grab my balls, I might just pop a boner.
Bong.
Ooh, this is a great one. Would you rather be trapped in a room full of enthusiastic preaching televangelists for 8 hours,
No.
or a room full of raucous circus clowns for the same amount of time?
Second.
Yeah, would you actually?
100%.
I feel like we'd party.
100%. I'm not gonna be doing coke with a bunch of fucking
A room
televangelists.
full of
With
televangelists.
those clowns, I bet we could do some clowning around. Honka. You know what I'm
We
saying?
got some quotes here. Lord, if you want me to have that house in California, you can help me make the payments just as you can help me make the payments on this one in Charlotte. That's Jim Baker.
I bet. Jim and Tammy.
See if you can guess who this one is. God said to Pat Robinson, that was according to Pat Robinson, Pat, I want you to have a RCA transmitter.
Is that Pat Robinson?
Mm-hmm.
It sounded like him.
Very Pat Robinson. How about this one? Hi, kids. Also Pat Robinson. No, that's actually the clown.
Oh no. Oh no.
You know what? I'm gonna take the room full of televangelists. I feel like they know a few moves, a few ways to get some dime, get some money. I feel like they know a trick or two.
That's the wrong religion.
And I mean, it's right for them. I can learn a thing or two. I feel like I'm gonna go with what am I gonna learn from a clown? How to juggle? Come on, how's that gonna get me far in life? Put on some big shoes, hear honk honk for 8 hours.
Well, it can get you far enough to be a clown, so there's that.
Well, I could do that in the other room as well.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Would you rather be perceived as intelligent or street smart? But not both.
Well, I already am both, and I think a lot of people recognize that.
But how? Okay, you are basically a brand new person
Uh-huh.
going through the world, and you can only let people perceive you as one or the other. How would you most like to be perceived?
So you're perceived as being smart, but you're not actually smart.
If you say you're both,
Well, I'm a
what
new
would you
person.
want people to notice? They can't notice both. They're either going to think you're intelligent or think you're street smart.
I mean, I think street smarts obviously is the better answer because in the long term, I think the survival rate is probably high.
That's a very apt answer because it proves that you're not intelligent.
Is it?
I would certainly want intelligence. Yeah, I want, and I mean, honestly, that is, it might be one of the driving things in my psyche is that I want people to understand that I'm intelligent.
Do you think
It's not like a
you're-
boastious thing. It's just I have put a lot of work into it to not being one of the other people who are just walking through life, not really knowing about their surroundings, things like that. I don't want to be one of those people. I want to be perceived as intelligent. I don't want people to think, oh, Dylan doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. I have people come to me and say, yo, can you tell me about like what's going on with this Ukraine situation? Not that I'm an authority, but the fact that somebody is looking for answers and thinks that Dylan could at least give them some insight into what's going on. Maybe
See, I don't
phrase
want to
it in an
be
easy way.
that guy that has the insight.
Oh, I enjoy it.
Even if I have the insight, I don't want people to come to me for the insight.
And
if
I
tell
always
them,
stress-
I'll give them the insight.
And I always stress whenever I tell people, like, look, I'm not an authority. However, if you want my opinion, I'll freely give it.
I mean, I do love that, but I don't think...
Very carefully, because I don't want to get canceled.
Because like I said, I don't want people to think I'm smart. I just want to show them that I'm smart. And that's why I choose the street smarts. Because, like, you can, I know plenty of actual doctors that have done some dumb shit. If I haven't said it before, I know a doctor that once sewn a surgery drape to the dog's ear. This man went to college, has degrees, makes way more money than me. Sewed a surgery drape to a dog's ear.
Well, we've all been there, Christian.
It happens. That's what I'm saying. I'd rather be smart than perceive to be smart.
I see what you're saying, because it is a lot of pressure.
And the way you worded the question, too.
It is a lot of pressure whenever you are perceived as smart, and then you like have a moment where you don't fulfill that quota.
You have that as well.
So,
yeah.
I can understand that, but I would definitely still choose intelligence.
I mean, I would choose intelligence over street smarts, I guess.
But being perceived as.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, not necessarily being perceived as. Because that, like, assumes, and that's not always true.
Yeah.
I think we did some good Would You Rathers.
I think that was a pretty good time. I enjoyed it.
I agree. It was fun.
Definitely look forward to
stuff.
that coming back.
Definitely.
We'll have to find a slightly culturally appropriative hat to wear for our Would You Rather. We got the sombreros.
Yeah, I'm thinking we just go, like...
Which, I'm just realizing what a terrible missed opportunity we... Rant sombreros on Cinco de Mayo? Shout out Mexico. Thanks for fucking up the French for us.
Someone had to do it.
Someone had to do it.
With that said, anything else you want to say?
No, just cut that last part I said.
Let's end this episode. Peace and love, Dylan.
Peace and love.
You ever put hot dogs in your mac and cheese?
You ever put mac and cheese in your